Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Shoot 'em Up Games Collector's Guide. If you missed part 1, what this series is about is basically, here are different shoot 'em up games that came out on different systems, and this is like the going rate for each title. It's not so much of like a review video or anything. I'm not going into in-depth detail about each game, but I do kind of throw in, little facts here and there. So if you happen to be looking to get more into this genre, or maybe you already have a bunch of, shoot 'em up games and you're just sort of wondering, hey, is, that one gone up in price or gone down? That's more of what this series is all about. Now, I'm covering the PlayStation, the original PlayStation in this episode, so there's a fair amount of games to talk about, so I'm just going to get started. We're going to start off with the Working Designs titles, and they would be Ray Storm, Ray Crisis Series Termination, and Thunder Force 5 Perfect System. Now, out of these, Thunder Force would probably be the most expensive. It seems to go around like the $30, $40 mark, and sometimes breaks over that a little bit. Now, both Ray Storm and Ray Crisis, they bounce all over the place. I mean, I've seen a few recently for like $10, and then some for $30. One funny thing is that I saw these 3 games, and one other one I'm going to show in a moment, Ein Hunter. They went for $180. They weren't sealed. They were just like this, open but in good condition. And you can get all 4 of those separate for quite a bit less than that. So I found that funny, and that was an auction that had just sold on eBay like in the last few days. All 3 of these titles have that Spaz logo on them. That was a label created by Working Designs to put out their shooter titles with the company. Now, these all have just as nice of packaging design as like the RPGs and adventure games that Working Designs did. Ray Storm even has like raised lettering on the instruction manual, and Thunder Force 5 has like a super shiny cover to it, so really nice quality. Now, both Ray Storm and Ray Crisis were developed by Taito, and a little fact for you, Taito was purchased by Square Enix in 2005. So yeah, these aren't really expensive at all, Thunder Force being, I guess, the most expensive right now, but some really detailed shooters, pretty nice graphics, and a lot of fun, so check them out. Up next is Mobile Light Force. Now, I talked about this in the first episode, but I didn't show it. I mentioned how stupid the cover art on this one was. Now, I was trying to explain in that first episode how this is sort of related to the Castle Shikigami games in North America. Now, this was actually released as Gunbird in Japan, but in North America, Mobile Light Force 2, which had like the same cover art, was actually a Castle Shikigami game. And then Part 3 came out on the Wii in North America, so this is only really related because the fact that Part 2 was a Castle Shikigami game, but they were basically saying like this was the same type of title because it has the same damn cover, and they're both called Mobile Light Force. Confusing as hell. I mentioned how they really screwed that up, but it is a really cheap game. It's not the best shooter at all, and you can easily pick this up for well under $10. I think I originally grabbed it at the flea market for like $5 or $6 or so. So, yeah, not expensive, not that great. I would recommend quite a few more that I'm going to show over this one. Here we have R-Types and R-Type Delta. Now, R-Types is the first and second titles in the series in one package. This goes for really, seems no more than the $20 price range, and you can even get one for $5 or $10, like a complete copy. R-Type Delta, a little bit more expensive. I saw a few in the $20 to $30 price range, but just like with this one, there was also a few selling complete for in the $10 to $15 range. So they definitely vary quite a bit in price. Really fun shooters, classic shooters, awesome alien monsters and stuff, and just some of my favorite boss monsters in the R-Type series are in R-Type Delta. So check them out. This is a super cheap title. It is Soul Divide. Now, this is one of those shooter games where you're flying human characters, basically. Well, some of them aren't human. They're humanoid characters, I guess. You're not a little spacecraft. And you're fighting different types of enemies. You're casting magic spells and stuff at them, and sometimes some of the enemies are just coming at you with swords and stuff. But what's really funny is when, like, there's little floating skeletons or other characters, and they don't have wings or anything. They're just sort of floating up and down the screen and attacking you in midair. Very comical, but a fun title, and like I said, super, super cheap. I mean, a few dollars to $10 max, you shouldn't pay for this one. This is the most expensive title that'll be in this episode. It is Ein Hunter. Now, like I mentioned before, this and those 3 Working Designs titles I saw recently go for like $170-something. By itself, this is a $30 to $50 game average right now, but with this genre, the game prices average so much, there's some in like the $20 range for complete copy as well. Ein Hunter was put out by Squaresoft, and it surprised a lot of people because they were like, Squaresoft, the RPG guys, they're putting out a shooter title, and then it actually turned out to be pretty damn good. Some people even consider this as one of their favorites in the genre. I would put it at like in my top 10 probably. I did enjoy like the boss battles. There's some really big bosses in this game, and the graphics at the time for a shooter on the PlayStation were really damn good. Now, you can tell that most shooter titles on the PlayStation that were released in North America don't really hold their value too well, but this one has, probably because so many people did love it so much. So I definitely recommend checking it out, even if you had to pay like 30 or 40 bucks, or 50 even maybe, because it is a really damn good one. This is a really, really cheap title. It is Gaykyo Shooting King. Now, I saw one sell recently for $2.41 for a complete copy. The average price, I guess, would be around like the $5 to $10 range, but kind of sad it goes for that low because it's not a bad game at all. It has pretty decent graphics. The gameplay itself is good. You have different game modes you can choose from, and some bizarre ones. One of them you can actually choose to when you destroy the enemy ships. It's actually, instead of like explosion sounds, they're people laughing. So they actually took time to make like different laugh tracks for the explosions. Really bizarre, but unique. Now, they also kind of did a really poor job on like the cover art. I mean, it's sort of like blurry and just looks pretty generic. Doesn't really sell the title too well, but for like $5, I would recommend it for sure. Good replayability with those different game modes as well. The last game I'm going to show is Soma, one of only 2 cardboard long box PlayStation games that I own. Now, the price on this one is sort of hard to give an average value because it doesn't seem very many people ever buy it. One sold for like 20 bucks and then another one recently for 7, so it's cheap. That's all you really need to know. The game itself is also pretty damn average, from like the music to the graphics to even like the enemy designs. To me, the ships were just sort of boring. I mean, the most interesting thing about them were some of them were called doggies. They don't look like dogs, but they're called doggies. Now, the different views you get to have throughout the game, though, like a top-down, isometric, or a front and back, that's kind of cool, so it does change up, but you can easily check out like any of those like Working Designs games or Ein Hunter or something for, at least in my opinion, a better shooter experience on the PlayStation. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I don't even know how long this was because I had to do a few different takes because my fucking cats are going nuts outside, so I gotta go feed them. But I will talk to you all later. Peace.